do with it. And that is with everything in our lives, right? Everything can either be a tool or it can be a weapon. And it's how you choose to use it that determines what it becomes for you and for the world. So for me, I've been working in cutting edge technology for over 30 years. In the early 90s, I started a web page development company right out of high school. And I started, and back then there were no classes, nothing was going on in schools to teach me. You had to just work through it and figure it out. And that transitioned into going into blockchain development, going into cryptocurrencies, and going in through AI. Back then, AI, and just so you know, everybody here has been using AI, if you're alive for this long, has been using it for at least 20 years. So this isn't a new thing. And if you're like, well, you haven't been using it for 20 years. Yeah, if you've been using Google Maps, even Netflix, they have a whole AI algorithm right behind their preference thing that says, you know, if you watch this movie, you'll like that movie. All of that's AI technology. It's just that it's been so cost prohibitive, like billions and billions of dollars a day to run it, that only the big companies have been allowed to use it. So it was up until November 2022 that only the big time players could have access to it. So I was working with think tanks and universities that had access to it to be able to utilize it. And I was also consulting to Fortune 500 companies that could afford that technology and afford me to be able to help them utilize it. So what happened is a company by the name of OpenAI, who at the time was a nonprofit and had their mission at the time, this has all since changed, their mission was to give everybody equal footing and make AI available to all, because they saw what this power was to have this technology. So even more powerful than having the internet, right, was to be able to have this tool and to make sure that the masses had access to it, because it has, as David was mentioning, quite the ability to disrupt economically. And so that's what they did, and they came out with ChatGPT back in November 2022, and that is why it's become so prevalent in the last couple of years, and why everybody's seen and heard it, because it became accessible to the public at that time. So for me, how I made the transition and how we got into writing our book together, which if you guys are noticing the wearable, if you guys can see that, this is what's called a wearable. You can program these technologies into everything. So there's our book, From Gen Z to Gen AI. QR code if you guys want more information. Also talk about how to use AI for writing. So the schools, the universities, every year they put together a symposium and one of the universities hosts it. And I got asked to speak at one about AI, and I was super excited. I was like, yes, because I feel like the schools up until, well, the schools are still doing it. The schools are being very negligent in teaching our future and arming them, and teaching them how to use this technology. Their response mostly is resistance. And it's very similar to when I was going to school and the introduction of calculators, if you're in my time period. They wouldn't allow us to use calculators. And they said that it was gonna make us lazy and all the same things that we're hearing about AI technology. So when they asked me to speak, I thought, wow, this is a breakthrough. We're gonna have this opportunity. And then I saw what they wanted me to talk about, which was they wanted me to teach them, the universities wanted me to teach them how to identify when students were using AI. And so after politely declining to do that and mentioning negligence and some other choice words, I decided with Arena to fill this gap, to fill this need that the colleges weren't doing and providing for our future. So it is, of my opinion, that the students that start in university this year, by the time they graduate in 4 years, will be obsolete, like absolutely obsolete. What they're going into, what they study for, it's no longer going to exist. And so we wrote this book for that purpose, in talking about how, just to give our future a fighting chance, just to teach them how to use AI and how to use it in such a manner that their originality, their voice, and their creativity comes through, and that how, as humans, what makes us unique is our creativity, and how to utilize AI to bring out that and to actually build out our creativity. So that's what our book is about.
Very good. Well, we have just a few minutes. We're supposed to do a colloquy and then do some questions, and we've got 8 minutes before we do questions. But if you'll indulge me, I had a question for maybe both of you, but maybe particularly Sophia. Last night you said that we would have to evolve in the face of AI. And my question was twofold. What do you mean by evolve? Because I understood evolve to mean extinction, basically, of the vast majority of a species and maybe the survival of a few. And who do you mean by we? Could you...
Let me give some context about this 2 glasses of wine into the conversation.
Yes, it was.
So the context was, I believe the question was, basically the Terminator question. That's on everybody's mind. Where is AI going, and is it going to take over? Where does humanity stand with it? And I said, currently, in our current way that humans are, our trajectory, where we stand right now with doing things such as Ukraine, that can even happen right now, or something like Palestine can happen, regardless of how you feel. Just the fact that those 2 things are going on, whichever side you're on. Just the fact of that, and the fact that however you feel about climate change, whether we cause it, don't cause, that doesn't matter, it's still happening, right? Regardless of how it's sourced, it's still happening. So if you look at that, we are the threat, humans. Humans are the threat. So if you create a superior technology and you task it with fixing and correcting these things, it will easily, just logically, it will easily see us as the threat, as the cause, as the source, as the main problem. So yes, I was saying that we have no chance, humanity, that's who we is. We have no chance whatsoever unless we choose to evolve. And what that looks like is collaborating and working with this technology to be able to better ourselves. If you think about it in Maslow's hierarchy, we're still at survival. The fact that we're doing these petty things still means that we're at survival. We can't even get off of this planet because we're so focused on we're the center of the universe. We are the universe. We can't even help other things outside of us. Now, I'm not talking about other countries. I'm talking about other worlds, other planets. There's things that need help, and we can't even get outside of ourselves. So that's what I talk about when I say evolve. The fact that you can get to the point to where you can understand and deal with yourself, right? Because once you deal with yourself and make your priority happiness, if everybody's priority was that, then it'd be taken care of, right?
Well, that's a good answer. Irina, what do you see our evolution or adaptation maybe is a better word? What do you see that looking like?
I think it really depends on us. I love this image of Mo Goddard in his book Scary Smart, and his lectures he talks about it, how AI can be compared to a child that we're bringing up. And a very talented child, like a Superman, right? And he talks about how when Superman ended up on Earth, he ended up with this really nice family from the Midwest that taught him right values. So when he grew up, he became a defender of the weak. He wanted to help the poor, the weak, to fight with the bad guys, right? And be the force of good. So our AI can be compared to a little Superman. So if we teach it to help us with war, to help us with killing other people, to help us manipulate information so that other people buy more of our stuff and we get money, and money is power, right? If we teach our AI to control people, then it's going to grow up into a very scary super villain, right? So as much as we can, we need to focus on teaching it good values, because it's not just the question we ask, but the way we treat it. And if it understands that for us, love, generosity, helping other people, health, caring about people who are weaker, who have worse circumstances for whatever reason that we do, if we teach our AI good values, it's going to grow up to be a superhero that will help us. And I think that's a task that for all of us, not just developers of AI, but everyone who uses it, to think about the way we use it. And unfortunately, very large resources are concentrated with the military, right, with different industries that may not have the same objectives, and that's the challenge. But we know lots of examples of good use of AI in medicine and psychology and education, in science. So as much as we focus on, the more we focus on them, the better the outcome will be, I think, for us as mankind.
That is a great answer. Did you have anything to add? I guess we can go right to questions then. Do we have questions? Somebody's supposed to hand me little cards here, which I then am supposed to decipher. And I hope they're block printing. Oh my God. Oh, lots of questions here. Let me take a
Thank you guys, yeah.
Here's one about extinction, which I think we already kind of hammered. Don't have any idea about that one.
Can I talk about this while you're looking through this?
Want to take one?
Yeah. So this was a question directed to me. What outside of ourselves needs help? Second question is really interesting. So I don't know if I'll be able to cover that one here, but I know everybody wants to know about that. Definitely hit my QR code. Is it Helene? Because you'll get to learn more about that.